こんにちは、眠いロコです。Here's a quick quiz for you. How do you read this kanji? 何が好きですか? It's 何. Okay, then how about this one? 好きな食べ物は何ですか? This time, it's 何. Have you ever wondered why this kanji has two different readings, 何 and 何? It might seem a little confusing at first, but there are actually some rules for when to use each reading. By the end of this video, you know exactly when to use 何 and 何. So let's get started. First, I want you to remember that the basic reading of this kanji is 何. For example, 何? 何が好きですか? 何について話しますか? So, as a general rule, this kanji is read as 何. But there are a few exceptions where this kanji is read as 何. Let's take a look at them. The first one is before counters. What comes to mind when you think of Japanese counters? There are lots of them like mai, 人 or 札, right? When this kanji comes before a counter like this, it's always read as 何. For example, 何枚紙がありますか? 何人来ますか? 何冊本を読みましたか? Also, 曜日 isn't a counter, but it works similarly in this case, so this is read as 何曜日. For example, 何曜日に行きますか? Now, how would you read this one? Actually, this can be read in two different ways. If we read it as 何人, it means how many people. But if we read it as 何人, it means what nationality. So this one can mean two completely different things depending on how you read it. There's one more word like this where the meaning changes depending on how you read it. If you read this one as 何色, it means how many colors. But if we read it as 何色, it means what color. So pay attention to the meaning when you read these words. The second rule is when it comes before です or だ. You've probably used 何ですか a lot, right? It's not just before です. It is also read as 何 before だ. However, when you casually ask what is it, you would normally just say 何? So you won't hear なんだ on its own very often. But you will hear it in expressions like なんだった? or なんだっけ? The third rule is when it comes before の. For example, 何の本ですか? 今の何の音? So just remember this one as a set phrase 何の. Next, it is read as 何 before the quotation particle と. By this と, I mean the one used for quoting like in と言っていました or と書いてあります. In casual conversation, this と often becomes て. For example, 何と言っ ていましたか？なんて書いてた？ However, there's one exception. The と in と思う is also the quotation particle, but when you want to ask what do you think, you don't say なんと思いますか? So what do we say instead? It's not 何と思いますか either. The correct expression is どう思いますか? This is a really easy mistake to make. In fact, for the same reason, many Japanese learners of English make the opposite mistake. They say, how do you think? When they mean, what do you think? It's an interesting example of how Japanese and English express the same idea differently. So, when you want to ask someone for their opinion in Japanese, make sure to use どう思いますか? And finally, here's a little bonus. Did you know that なんで, meaning why, can actually be written in kanji? It's written like this. That's right, it uses the same kanji, 何. So, this sentence can actually be read in two different ways. If we read it as なんで学校に行きますか? It means why do you go to school? But if we read it as 何で学校に行きますか? It means how do you get to school? When you see this one, you have to figure out which meaning it is from the context. But since it can genuinely be read either way and can be a little confusing, なんで meaning why is usually written in hiragana. Now it's time to practice. How would you read 何 in each of these sentences? Here are the answers. How many did you get right? How did you like today's video? I hope this video cleared up any confusion about when to read 何 as 何 or なん. On this channel, I share videos about the Japanese language and Japan. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!